Yes. Ubali sir, shall we start then?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
Okay, okay. All participants, please maintain the silence during the lecture. Okay, so I request Rupali sir to start with the base session. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. As yesterday we have discussed about the data privacy issues, the security assurance, and to some extent we have referred to the intellectual property rights. Today we are going to have a specific focus on the cyber crimes. Basically, it does not only focus on the privacy issues, but there are a number of we can say offenses or number of problems that probably occur in the cyber world. And so, what exactly is that?
Ubali sir, excuse me.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I've made you host. I think there will not be any problem, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, ma'am.
Okay,
Sure,
sir.
ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay. So before moving to the to what are the different offenses or what are different crimes in the cyber world, we have to understand two important aspects. The very first aspect is to have to define what do you mean by computer or what do you mean by system, because when we say cyber crime, we must have to understand what do I mean by cyber, what do you mean by computer and the system. Secondly, we also have to find it out that what is a jurisdiction part. Jurisdiction is that point where it gives you or it empowers you to try that particular matter. So, for example, you might have seen on the TV that some accident happens, and there's probably a fight between in which police station the investigation to be carried out. No, because it is totally the matter of the jurisdiction of the police station. And in most of the cases, even the courts, suppose, for example, if something is happening to your system and a person who is sitting in the United States probably is hacking your system. So in that context, are you going to file a case in a cyber police station which is in India, or are you going to file it in the police station which is in the United States, or whether the courts, Indian courts are having the jurisdiction to try that particular matter, or whether the United States is having the jurisdiction to try that matter. Okay, so there are a lot of questions specifically. It comes when we talk about the jurisdiction part of it. And thirdly is the crime and the punishment. Okay, so it is just not an intellectual property right. It just not the Information Technology Act of 2000. It is also has its focus on a number of issues, and accordingly the offense has been defined, and accordingly the punishments has been given. The severe is the offense, the severe is the punishment. Okay, so this is a basic understanding. Okay, when we have in cyber terrorism, it's one of the important aspect in the cyber world. So terrorism can be there, and in that terrorism or the attacks, the terrorist attacks, if the if the offenders, if those particular people are using the computer technologies and the cyber technologies, then probably it has its connection with the cyber terrorism. So we call it as cyber terrorism, and it has a grievous consequences because it is like waging war against the state. So in that context, we have to understand the punishment part of it. Okay, so let us go ahead with the very first part, that is the definition of computer and computer system. So it is, as we know, we usually have an application of Information Technology Act of 2000. Okay, so that is a basic act, the base of all the cyber related or computer related, technology related aspects, dimensions, and they deal with it. That that's a legal control or the control with the help of law over the behavior of the individuals who are indulging into the crime or the wrong, civil wrong or criminal wrong, with the help of the technology. Okay, so there's one section 2 of the Information Technology Act which defines the computer. So if something happens within that particular definition of the computer, then we call it as in cyber law is applicable, or then we call it as in cyber crime. Okay, according to that Information Technology Act, any electromagnetic, electronic, magnetic, optical, or other high-speed data processing device or system. So computer, the very first part that they're talking about is what includes in a computer system. So it includes an electromagnetic things, it includes an high-speed data analysis and data processing in that particular device. Second, it says which performs logical, arithmetic, and memory functions. So all these functions must be there in that particular system or the computer. Or by manipulation of the electronic, magnetic, and optical impulses, it includes input, output, processing, storage, computer software, communication facilities, which are connected and related to the computer and the related technologies, computer system, and computer network. So all that includes in the definition part of the computer. So if anything happens, you have to cross-verify whether that particular situation or that particular set of facts are having its connection with the computer system or not. Okay, so that's why we have a crime scene investigation as well. So if some crime happens, there's a crime scene, and the officers have to investigate on the crime scene. Okay, so whatever the electronic systems that they are going to probably find it out, their pen drive, computer system, a hard disk, or anything else. Okay, so which is related to electronics. If you're finding it on the crime scene, then probably they take it, they produce it before the court of law for the further procedure. And so in all this context, again, it is said that input output processing, and it is also talking about the communication facilities. So phone tapping, for example, okay, is a communication. And so when you make an intervention into communication, or by tapping, if you violating any particular right of an individual, you say that it is a violation of the rights, and then it comes under it is to be covered under the Information Technology Act. Okay, so moving ahead to the cyber crimes. Okay, now we are aware about the definition part of the computer. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the next part, and that is the cyber crime. Now, what is cyber crime? The crime, when it is associated with the cyber world, when it's associated with the cyber computer technology, computer networking system, laptop, mobile phones, any electromagnetic, magnetic commodity. So in all this context, if something is happening, then we call it as a cyber crime. Now, there are a number of cyber crimes, and accordingly, we have the punishments as well. Okay, so you must have heard different type of the crimes, like financial crimes. We have cyber pornography, intellectual property crimes. We have email spoofing. We have forgery. We have cyber defamation. We have sale of illegal articles. We have
मी वरती चालली पाणी टाकतोय
Shivani,
Shivani, to mute
yourself.
So
All
request, please
participants,
repeat
please
the
take
last.
care that it will not be unmute.
The request,
Okay.
please repeat the last few
sure.
sentences. Not heard.
Sure, Vivek. Okay. So we are talking about the cyber crimes. Now, cyber crimes, we have different type of the cyber crimes. The first is the financial crimes. Okay, so when the cyber crime is associated with the finance related issues. We call it as financial crimes. Okay, we're going into details of it, that what and how it happens with each and every individual. So anyone can be the victim of all these particular crimes. Then we have in cyber pornography. Okay, so pornography through the computer system, through the network system, if it happens, then we call it as cyber pornography. Then we have an intellectual property crimes. The simple thing that if you download any of the movie song, which is actually you shall not download it, then accordingly when you download it, at that time you commit you commit a crime. So you have number of websites, so specifically something like pk.com or anything like that, where you download the material, then this probably happens with an intellectual property. So it's a kind of a cyber crime. So computer technology is involved, network system is involved, and you are just downloading the property of another without his or her consent, and so that leads to the cyber crime. Then you have an email spoofing. Okay, one of the important elements that we're going to discuss it later. Then you have in forgery, cyber defamation, sale of illegal articles. You can find it on various, like you have a Flipkart, or you have like you have in Flipkart, Amazon, or number of things where in that matter, in that manner, you can find number of other So there are a number of we can say websites, okay, and through that website you generally buy some products. Okay, now there are some other websites where they usually sell the illegal articles on that website. Okay, so selling of that illegal article is also one of the cyber crime. Okay, because you are doing an online selling of the material through the computer system, through the internet, and so that's why it amounts to the cyber crime as well. Then the fake profiling. Okay, you can find number of fake profiles on specifically on Facebook, and to be on you can find it on the internet, LinkedIn, and number of things. Okay, so probably LinkedIn, why you find that particular profile is basically when you have when you want to just spy on the number of other friends, the dignitaries, okay, and you just want to see, because when you visit the profile, the LinkedIn is that kind of an thing that it is very much been there in your notification that who have visited your profile. So in this context, you can find fake profiles in them, on all the media platforms, so social media platforms and the other online platforms. You will find that particular fake profile, and if someone is having the fake profile or being the victim because his profile been duplicated, then in that case we must have some kind of the rights or some kind of the remedies over that particular crime. Okay, so that is also one of the important cyber crime that we are going to discuss. Then we have in cyber stalking. So you stalk through the internet. The very first thing that if you wish to know about any particular person, you just Google his name. Okay, so basically when you Google his name, you start searching on searching about him, and in that way, in the direct way or indirect way, you may go ahead with in-depth study of an individual by doing the stalking. Okay, so through internet you can do so. Then you have virus in the computer system, computer technology. Students they know that how the virus works, or in what context the virus is there. So basically, most of the time it happens that the people who create such kind of the viruses probably have the solutions on those viruses, antivirus mechanism that can be there by the people who are making the viruses to happen in computer system. Then you have webjacking, email frauds, cyber terrorism, and website cloning. Okay, so there are a number of cyber crimes, and accordingly we have number of punishments according to the situation, according to the consequence of the situation. You can find various we can say punishments on those particular cybercrimes. Okay, let us go in the details of the cybercrimes. The very first is the data theft. Okay. Now, you know, yesterday we have, why I've taken it as in first, because yesterday we have talked about the data privacy. Okay. So if you are collecting the data or if you're giving your personal information to any particular system, you have to be very careful about it. Okay. So what purpose is there for using that particular information? And so that data, someone can steal from you. Okay. So that there can be a data theft. And it happens in most of the business cases. Okay. So there's a sensitive information which is belonging to the business organizations, which is targeted by the rivalers, or we can say criminals, and sometimes even by the employees as well. Okay. So now we have taken an example yesterday that generally the IT companies, they give their company laptop, company desktop to the individuals so that they can do the work only through that particular system. And they usually do not ask them to use their personal or private laptops. Or if they're using it, then again there are certain rules and regulations and certain system that they have to upload it in their own personal laptops. Okay, this is how you have to protect the data if you're having the business or having the company. Okay, and so what happens? Why I'm saying the business organizations is basically the rivalry companies are there in the market, and so they usually, by paying some amount to that individual, they can ask him to to give the information whatever that they have in business strategies, probably a number of things that happen in a business when you have a business. Okay, and so if consider if someone is stealing the Coca-Cola formula, then what will happen to the Coca-Cola company? Okay, so whatever the profit that they are making out of all these Coca-Cola products, they probably it will get stopped or it will get hampered because of the leakage in the information, the business information that they have, the secret information. Okay, and so it happens with an employees, through employees. It can happen through criminals or basically the rivalry parties as well. So such kind of the data, so it includes the business data, business plans, specifically the tenders. Okay, so you must have heard these particular words. Then you have a different kind of quotations, because no, you generally ask for the quotations, and accordingly you give them the contract. And so all that may be obtained using the hacking or the social we can say obtained using the hacking and the social engineering techniques as well. Okay, so you can steal that particular information, and so that's why we must have a protection if such kind of information has been stolen by any particular individual. And so that's why in the information technology we have section 66 B, 43, 66. So these particular sections, they talk about the penalization of the data theft. Okay, so they punish them, they give the punishment to the data theft. Okay, we're going to discuss the punishment at the last part of today's session. So this is what we call it as data theft. Okay, stealing the data or sensitive information, if it has been leaked by any individual, we have the protection under the law. The second important element is the mobile device attack. Okay, so we know that most of the time that what we do is, instead of using the computers, we use computer in the form of mobile. Okay, so now the mobiles are equivalent to the computer, so everything is available in computer. Whatever is there in computer is available in the mobile. And so there are, most of the time you can find that there's mobile device attacks as well. So there's some threats to the security basically of the mobile devices. So for example, unauthorized
ते नाही बघितलं मी 25 मला ते ह्याच्यात 5 सगळे दिले ते बघितलं मी
शुभम
झाले पण हा मी खाली त्या ह्याच्यात नाही 25.
So mobile device attacks. So one of the important element is unauthorized access. Okay, so no, having the pin code of mobile and accessing that information which is stored in the mobile is also it amounts to an offense. Okay, because it is a personal data that probably you are asking for entering into the privacy of an individual. And so unauthorized access, stolen handsets, is also one of the important element. Data theft, malware, phishing attacks are some of the examples where we can say there's a mobile device attack, which we can see. Okay, and so by amendment they also have added the communication device. Okay, so it is just not the mobile, but whatever the communication devices that you are using as a mobile or as any or as having the internet facilities or computer system or any electromagnetic system, if it is there, then all those things can be considered as an mobile device, and then attacks can be come under section 66 of Information Technology Act. Okay, so basically the mobile device attacks are again penalized by section 66 of Information Technology Act. Now, moving ahead, we also have the financial crimes. Okay, what do you mean by financial crimes? Is the crimes associated with the finance of an individual, okay, or of that particular company. So you have a credit card, debit card, and so the wide term includes the online share trading scams, e-banking crimes, and number of things. Okay, so we can say that in today's highly digitalized world, we can find there's a huge loss which can be occurred with the help of the technology. Okay, so that's why we have 66D, one of the section which penalizes the financial crimes. Okay, now it depends upon how much loss has been incurred in such kind of financial crimes. Okay, so basically the 3 years jail and 1 to 5 lakh rupees fine is basically given under 66D regarding the financial crimes. Okay, so if that crime involves any financial transactions, fraudulent financial things, then you can say that as a financial cybercrime. Okay, so whatever the cyber crimes that you see or financial crimes that you see, the financial crime are having its connection with a network, having its connection with any electromagnetic thing, then we call it as a financial crimes. Okay, so financial crimes is basically you can find more and more of the credit card frauds that happen in financial crime. Then you have the phishing attack. Okay, now you must have heard about the phishing attack. Okay, so it generally involves the spoofed email that probably contain links to the fake website. Okay, so what happens whenever you access your own email address or your own email IDs, you can find that sometimes there are mails from fake email IDs, and you have a tendency that instead of finding out the email address, you just see that who has sent that email. Okay, now you know that when you open any email ID, okay, so consider, go to your home and you just open one particular Gmail ID. Okay, in Gmail ID you can just write the name, for example, Divya Kumari. Okay, so you can just write the first name Divya, the last name Kumari, and you can just open that particular account. Okay, now while opening that particular account, you are creating some, the email ID, the ID which you are creating, probably say Divya Kumari 1234@gmail.com. Okay, now when you have this particular thing, then when you send that particular mail to any another person, okay, so when you send that particular mail, the mail one receives is the mail received by Divya Kumari. Okay, the first thing that I can see on the mail is Divya Kumari. So instead of finding out whether it's Divya Kumari at gmail.com or Divya Kumari 1234 at gmail.com, unintentionally I believe that this is the mail, an official mail must be sent by that particular person. So so such kind of mails you can find it in most of the cases. Okay, I'll tell you a story which happened to me last year. I just received one email from yahoo.com. Okay, so it is yahoo.com, and it was written that your account is at risk, kindly update your account, and for updation of your account, click on the following link. Now, without reading whether it is yahoo.com or Yahoo's official email ID, it was Yahoo's not official email ID. Someone else has created that official ID, and I have clicked on that particular link. Okay, I was not aware about the person who has seen that particular thing, and so when I clicked on it, automatically my account got hacked, and I stopped receiving any particular mail. Okay, why? Because the hacker who has hacked my account has made changes in the setting. So there is a setting, and you can always make a changes in the setting. So what is that change? You just click on the setting, and there's an option on which email ID you want to or you wish to receive your mail. So there you must have the same email ID. Okay, so for example, if it is ubay.saurabh@gmail.com, the same email ID ubay.saurabh@gmail.com must be there, must get its reflection there. When you hack that, you see that it has been hacked, at that Gmail ID, you'll see that another Gmail ID or another email ID is inserted, so that whoever is going to send the mail, that mail is not going to come into my inbox, that is ubay.saurabh@gmail.com, but it is going to come into that email ID's inbox, which is enlisted or which is given into that area of the setting. Okay, so here you lost your access to your internet, you lost your access to your email, and so accordingly the fraud can be created. So through that mail, so by hacking that mail also, you can have the financial frauds. Okay, you can ask money from this from the friends which are there in my email list. You can very much find the addresses, and then you can, by that way, can also do a cybercrime. So this is how the cybercrime happens, and so that's why you have to always verify that the email ID or not, the sender's email ID, whether it is official or not, or whether it is genuine or not. Okay, you can find a genuinity also by reading out the email IDs. Okay, so people are more likely to open the email thinking it as sent by a legitimate source, and so that's why the email spoofing, the forgery of the email header can happen with this phishing attack. And so you never respond to unsolicited emails asking for especially the financial information. Okay, you can see in most of the Facebook profiles. Okay, now they're coming up with that messenger. Okay, so you can see that if someone get hacked, you can see various posts on the Facebook saying that I am not asking for money from any individual, my account is got hacked, and someone is asking money through the messenger. Okay, that happens. You can just verify. So people, what they do, they hack your Facebook profile, and through the messenger, so you are having the access to the Facebook profile, but through the messenger they're sending the messages to your friends asking for money. Now consider that if someone sends some money to me, and I know that this is the person which I know. Suppose for example, someone has sent me the message through the messenger that I am in France and I am unable to connect with you to through the internet or through any of the telecommunication system, and so I'm sending the message to you that I need money, this and this much amount, 15,000, 20,000, whatever maybe the amount, and now there you can find the account details, and they usually ask you to to give that amount or deposit that amount in the account details. Now when you deposit that account, probably afterwards you won't find any particular details regarding that particular person. Okay, so this happens, and so when your friend is in need, you always, without thinking any consequences, you usually go to deposit that particular money in the account. Okay, and so most of the time the person comes to know that this is not so someone has hacked that particular profile and asking the money. Okay, so you have to be very careful while sharing the data, or if you think that you need some kind of the process. So for example, there is two-step verification. If someone want to open your Gmail account or Facebook account, there's a two-way, two steps are involved. One is you get an OTP on your mobile number and another OTP on your email ID. Okay, so by that perspective, or by doing that particular thing, you can very much have good access to your computer, good access to your technological gadgets that you're using in this concern. Okay, now apart from that, we also have to understand the phishing cases. Okay, so in the Indian Penal Code, you must have heard this particular name. This is Indian Penal Code is Bharatiya Danda Sanhita, where you can there's a uniform law. Whenever any type of the crime that happens, that crime is basically been defined by the Indian Penal Code, and you will find what type of the punishment shall be given to that particular person. You can find it in the Indian Penal Code. Okay. Now, the next important element is the denial of service. Okay. Notice denial of service. Now, basically, this involves the flooding of a computer with more requests than it can handle. So basically, you cause to crash that particular system. Okay, so you must have heard that in most of the cases, you must have seen that computer system been crashed. Okay, so this is how by doing certainly some kind of the things you can you can crash the system. Okay, so in a distributed denial of the service, we call it as a DDoS attack. The attackers are many and are geographically widespread. Okay, so these attackers, what they do, they bombard with the emails and they make that particular system crash when it so that a person who is having that system may not have any resource or any recourse to come out of that particular situation. And so DOS attacks are punishable also under the Information Technology Act. We have Section 66 of Information Technology Act, which punishes such kind of denial of services. Okay, so again, it totally depends upon the investigation. Through investigations, we'll come to know that who are those culprits who are doing that particular denial of services, and accordingly, the punishment can be imposed. Then you have the malware. Okay, now what is malware? Now, malware is a kind of a software designed to infiltrate, or we can say damage a computer system without the consent of the owner of that particular computer system. So basically, a malware is a wide term which can be which includes basically the virus, the worms, the trojans, rootkits, backdoors, spyware, botnets, keystroke loggers. So all these are some kind of a system or some kind of the software which basically make the damages of that computer system. Okay, it damaged the computer system and the computer network system basically. So spreading of such kind of malware is also punishable under Section 66 of IT Act. Then you have the spam. Okay. Most of you must have come across this spam. Okay, so you know that there is a spam folder in your mail ID. Okay, so when you open your Gmail or Yahoo Mail, any mail that you have, when you open that particular mail, then you will find that there's a point where it is written spam. Okay, so spam is basically is the abuse of an electronic message system to send unsolicited bulk messages indiscriminately. So when you say you can see that when you open the spam folder, generally all those messages, all those mails that you can find in the spam folder are those mails which you received as in bulk messages, okay, or bulk mails. And so that's why you will find that such kind of the bulk messages are basically unsolicited. Okay, most of the time they ask you, when you open it, they ask you to click here and there, and then probably when you click, you get connected with some kind of the problem through the internet technologies. So spam, basically that's why you have to just verify that whether that spam is through the original or the legitimate resource or not. and then only accordingly you have to open that particular email if it is showing that it is a spam. Okay, so spam folder you have to verify, because sometimes it may happen that genuine messages, genuine mails also you can find it in the spam folder. Okay, but most of the time, more than 90-95%, you will find that it is the bulk messages which are unsolicited. Okay, so that's why spam is one of the cyber crime if it is indulged into such kind of criminal activities. And so that's why it is the sending of the spam is also punishable under section 66A of IT Act. Now there is one more important element, that is identity theft. Okay, now you must have seen on Facebook. Okay, specifically I'm giving the example of Facebook because that's more nearer to you, and you can find all such kind of the crimes which are happening within social media. Okay, so identity theft involves a fraudulent or dishonest use of someone's electronic signature or password or other unique identification features. Okay, so it is the first step towards the credit card fraud or online share trading scam or e-banking crimes. In such kind of things, you can very much use that identity theft. Okay, so you show that particular person or individual the wrong personality. Okay, so for example, if I found or if I've made available the signature of XYZ businessman, then I am that businessman. No, I'm showing that and I'm doing the same digital signature. So it is nothing but an identity theft. Okay, I have stolen the identity of another. Okay, I'm not that XYZ businessman, but someone else's identity. I've made a theft with that identity. So such kind of things also happen in context with the cybercrime. So identity theft is there. Okay, now you must know that on Facebook you will find various profiles. Okay, which you think that no. So for example, if I just put any particular name, suppose Shubham Thopte, if I've put it on the on Facebook, then probably I'll get 10 to 15 Shubham, and then no, all those Shubham Thopte are not same. Okay, but if I found that there are two different profiles, okay, which are identically same with the Shubham Thopte's profile. So when I see such kind of things, it means that someone is creating Shubham's profile in such a way that he want to portray it as a Shubham. Okay. Now, when you do such kind of activities, probably, suppose for example, I want to send a friend request to Shubham Thopte. Okay? So I have seen that there are two identical accounts. Okay. But only one account is official and another person. So for example, if his friend is creating that account, has created that particular account so that he can have an identity theft. Okay, as he have stolen the identity of Shubham. And so basically by making this particular theft, he's going to misuse the identity of that particular person. Okay, so this happens, and so that's why we always have to think, if you see that there's another profile of your name, of your profile picture, of your information, then you have to report it as soon as possible. Okay, why? Because that will probably afterwards may create a nuisance in your life. So identity theft, you have to be aware about it. Okay, then you have the cyber espionage. Okay, now cyber espionage is basically an act of obtaining personal, sensitive, proprietary or classified information without permission. Okay, so this particular information if you are finding, no, it is also a part of the cyber spying. Okay, so basically you spy, you are spy and you're spying someone, and it involves a kind of cracking techniques, it involves the malicious softwares as well, or it may include the spyware or the Trojans. Okay, so such kind of using such kind of the softwares, you can have that cyber espionage. Okay, so you are going to basically it is a next part of its of the data theft as well. Okay, so without permission, you are just trying to get the information of that particular individual, the personal information, without taking the consent, without taking the permission from that individual. So again, it is punishable under Section 66 of the Information Technology Act. Then you have the cyber frauds. Okay, so basically, it's a greed of a victim is the main reason why cyber frauds are successful. Okay, why? Because say you must have received in your life the messages saying that you have won $3 million. To claim the amount, click here. You must have come across such kind of messages or mails. So these things are nothing but are the cyber frauds. Okay, so if you click on it, then again you know the consequences. No, that probably may ask you some more details on the financial transaction. That may cause total amount of your account can be withdrawn at the next point or the next minute. So you can see such kind of consequences when the cyber frauds are there. And so do not believe on emails or SMS which says that you have won $1 million lottery or claim the prize, etc. Okay, so be aware of the strangers who are promising to transfer the crore of rupees to your bank account. Okay, so you can you may receive a mail saying that, okay, I am the person from the France, and I have no legal heir. I have this and this much property. If you wish to take my property, kindly contact me on the below number or just click on the link. Okay, so once you click the link, you become the victim of such kind of an cyber fraud. Okay, so again, cyber fraud is punishable under 66 and 66D of the Information Technology Act. Okay, now moving ahead with cyber terrorism. Okay, now what is terrorism is basically, okay, so the terrorist attacks that happen. Okay, so it is something which is waging a war against the system. And so the cyber terrorism, it involves the use or the threat of disruptive cyber activities for ideological or religious or political objectives. So if the cyber terrorism is weakening our country's economy as well, even it make more vulnerable to the military attacks as well. So cyber terrorism, so if the terrorism or terrorists are using cyber technology, computer technology, networking system for making such kind of a cyber attack. Okay, you can see that most of the time it happens when the websites are there. Okay, when you open any particular website, you can see that welcome to XYZ terrorism group. Okay, so this is how they hack the websites, and through that they probably there's everything, data theft, everything that they can do, all the cyber crimes they can do with the data which is there on the official website of the government. And so by hacking the government website, they probably take control over that particular website, which will have its consequences. So they may ask you the money. So once the money gets transferred, then only they can transfer you, or they may not transfer you the control back. So all these things can happen in cyber terrorism. Okay, so cyber terrorism is waging war against the state, and so that's why the punishment is also of the life imprisonment under Section 66F of the Information Technology Act. Now, this next one is the social engineering. Okay, so you know that social engineering attacks, this attack tricks the people into the revealing password or confidential information, or basically the attack requires the minimum technological expertise and can cause the maximum damage. Okay, and so that's why you have been asked to put such kind of password which will have numericals, which will have alphabets, upper alphabets, lower alphabets, special characters, etc. 8 to 15 words will be there in the password, or it must be there. So in all this context, why they're going to ask you to do so? It is very easy to find out any particular or not to go into or to have an access to any particular email or profiles on the social media. Probably it's a combination of the words like your birth date, your mobile number, your name. So when you have such kind of the passwords that can easily be revealed. Okay, so there's very few times that they have to try and then automatically it gets revealed. And so such kind of the passwords must not be there for any of your profiles, maybe social networking profile or the email IDs or any other profiles. Okay, so you have to be very careful that your password shall not cannot be, one cannot guess that particular password. And apart from that, you also have to have the two-step verification. If someone is using your email ID, you must get the notification that, okay, someone is asking or someone is having an access to your email ID. And so when you get the notification, there's a column that you have to tick that yes, it's me, yes, it's not, no, it's not me. So you have to click anyone, and accordingly the system works. Okay, so this is one thing that you have to remember. Now, Information Technology Act, so far we are talking about that particular act. So this is an act which came into existence in the October 2000, basically. Yes, now we have two-step, yes, you have two-step verification. Okay, so accordingly you can make the changes in the settings of all your profiles, specifically the email profiles and the social networking profiles as well. Information Technology Act 2000, when it came into existence in October 2000, it has various amendments in 2009 and onwards as well. And so we have a more refined version of the law which is available to control, to have a regulation over the system. Okay, so apart from that, we also have an Indian Penal Code. Okay, a kind of a general law on all the offenses. Okay, the simple thing when we have the defamation. Okay, so what do you mean by defamation? Is basically defaming someone. Okay, in the society. One must have the right to reputation, and if someone is damaging that image, then he must have a right against that individual. Okay, so this is a general context, can be discussed under Indian Penal Code. Okay, because defamation is punishable offense under Indian Penal Code. But when the defamation is online defamation, so here when I say online, there's one element which is attached to this particular system is the computer system or network system, so through which one is making a defamation. So cyber defamation. So when you're defaming someone on social media, it amounts to cyber defamation. Okay, and so it also is punishable offense under the Information Technology Act. So this is one of the part. Now, moving to the second last part of our today's lecture, and that is the jurisdictional issues. Okay, now we know that all the acts which we have in India are having its application all over India. Okay, so offenses which are under the Information Technology Act, if committed outside India by any person, irrespective of his nationality, we can also have an IT Act which is applicable. Or it is also applicable to the offense which involves a computer or computer system or computer network which is located in India. So if someone is hacking the system, Indian system or the system which is there available in India by sitting anywhere in the world, then Information Act is applicable very much to that particular person. Okay, so this is the jurisdictional part of the Information Technology Act. Now there is something called as universal jurisdiction, because cyber crimes are those things where you always have those particular crimes which has universal in nature. Any person anywhere can do a cyber crime. Any person anywhere can hack a system of any other individual. Okay, so no, you don't have any boundaries when it comes to the cyber world. Okay, and so that's why we must have to understand that part. When you can have very much you have the recourse to have an access to the protection under any of the law at a universal platform as well. There is something called as software piracy. Okay, now software piracy is basically whatever the software that you are making. So consider that you are coming up with any innovative startup, and in that particular startup you are using that particular no your innovation is there in one of the software. And so if you're if someone is using or having the piracy of that particular software, then it is also a punishable crime. So it is punishable crime under the IT Act as well as in Copyright Act as well. Okay, and so that's why you must not have an piracy software. Okay, so you say there's a cracked version. So having a cracked version or using a cracked version is also a punishable crime. So when you're using any computer technology, you must have the licensed copy of the Windows, because if the cracked version is there and if it is been revealed that you're using such kind of an pirated version, then you have to face the consequences. Okay, so you're liable to pay the compensation. There can be an imprisonment of 3 years as well, and the civil remedies, criminal remedies, both are available under the enactment. Okay, now in the Information Technology Act, the police inspector or any other officer of the central government or the state government authorized by the central government, which is not below the rank of police inspector, is the police officer which is associated, or the one who is having the power which is given by the Information Technology Act. Okay, so in the Information Technology Act, the investigating powers and the rest of the powers are with the police inspector or any person who is above the rank of police inspector. Now there's something called as computer related offenses. Okay, so basically dishonestly or fraudulently, if someone is accessing or securing access to a computer, downloading, copying or extracting the data, computer contaminant or the virus, damaging the computer or disrupting the computer or denial of the access, all this amounts to the cyber crime. Okay, so if you are getting access to any particular system, and if by getting that access, if you are downloading or copying some information from the system, from the computer system, from that computer, then it amounts to theft, the data theft, and it amounts to a cyber crime as well. Okay, so dishonestly and fraudulently, you can you can have the computer frauds, destroying or deleting or altering, diminishing the value and the utility, which will be the injurious to the person. So all that amounts, or stealing something, concealing something, destroying something, some information or the source code within the computer, it totally amounts to the computer related offenses. Okay, and punishable under the Information Technology Act. Now there's a source code theft. Okay, now the students of computer science must know there's something called as source code. Okay, and so one can have an access to that source code, and one can conceal, destroy or alter the source code so that the final outcome can be different in that particular software. And so section 65 we have of Information Technology Act, where we have the 3 years jail and the fine as well. If someone is stealing or making alterations to your software code, then it amounts to the cyber crime. Okay, now police inspector are having certainly some rights. So they may enter into any public place, and they can search, they can arrest, arrest any person who is reasonably suspected. Okay, there must be a reasonable suspicion of that particular person. And so if reasonably suspected of having committed or committing or about to commit any cyber crime or any such kind of an offense, then they can arrest that particular person. Okay, so when they have reasonable suspicion, then they can very much arrest that particular person. Now moving ahead, there's computer related offenses. When you have computer hacking, you have 3 years jail, and you have 5 lakh rupees fine if you are doing such kind of a cyber crime. You have one of the section which talks about the computer-related offenses, 66B, it talks about dishonestly receiving the stolen thing, okay, or computer resource or the communication device. So if you're receiving such kind of the thing, it's also a cyber crime, okay. So you have the 3 years jail and 1 lakh rupee fine for that particular offense, okay. Then you have identity theft, okay. We have talked about the identity theft, and we have said that if someone is having sharing the password using another's electronic signature or creating the fake social networking accounts, emails, etc., he is making the identity theft, okay. So we have 3 years imprisonment and up to 1 lakh rupees fine if someone is doing that identical theft. Then you have the punishment for the cheating by personation, okay. So like I have talk about an example that I want, so there are 2 profiles of Shubham, and one is the original profile where he's having an access to that profile, and another is a kind of a personation, okay. So using the computer or the electronic device, you are cheating someone. You can find most of the cases that comes to the cyber law that, okay, on Facebook they have they get connected on the Facebook, and so once they get connected, they decided to get married, and so when they meet each other, then they reveal that both are the fake personalities. So this is how through the electronic device, through the electronic technology, we know that the people are cheating to another, okay. They're making the cheatings, and so that cheating, if someone is doing, then it is also punishable for 3 years imprisonment and fine up to 1 lakh rupees. Then there's a punishment for violation of privacy, okay. So if someone is capturing a video picture or of any person without the consent, you can very much find that if someone is taking the photographs without your consent, you can tell him that if you are going to make the complaint of that individual, then probably he'll be behind the bars for 3 years, okay. So there's a 3 years imprisonment and 2 lakh rupees fine if someone is capturing a video or a picture of you without taking the consent from you, okay. So they are held liable under the punishment for the violation of the privacy. Now, for cyber terrorism, as I already told you, that it is a kind of a threat to the unity of a nation, or integrity, security, or sovereignty of the nation, and so that's why the punishment for the same is also the imprisonment for life, okay. So for whole period of life, you'll be having the imprisonment, okay. So you will be for the remaining life, you will be behind the bars, okay. Now there's always a confusion that life imprisonment means 14 years or not, okay. I mean, whatever that you've seen on the in the movies is not the correct one, because 14 years imprisonment is nothing. This concept is at an administrative part, but in legal sense, we always have a life imprisonment. It means that imprisonment for whole of his life, okay. Then we have the pornography in an electronic form, okay. So if someone is doing the pornography by hidden cameras in the hotel rooms, in the in the toilets, in the washrooms, wherever it can be, through that hidden cameras, if someone is making the pornography, of selling such kind of the blue films without, now here the intention is no more we have to consider, okay. If he's selling it, it means that he is liable for the punishment. So if you come across such kind of cyber pornography, you must know that they're liable for 3 years imprisonment and fine up to 5 lakh rupees. Now there is one more important point I have to refer in between, is regarding obscene material, okay. Obscene material, it means that, okay, consider that you're having a bookshop. Consider that bookshop is having some of the books which are obscene in nature, okay, which must not be must not be sold out by you, okay. So if you find such kind of the books, but bookshop or the shopkeeper is not aware of having such kind of content into into that particular book. Okay, because as a owner of the shop, it must not be necessary that you know each and every book. You have read each and every book. It is not necessary. But still, though it is not your intention, though without intention, if your bookshop is containing any such kind of material which is obscene in nature, you are liable for the punishment. Okay, so selling of obscene material, here we are not going to understand in this context whether you have the intention to sell it or not. If the selling is as happening in your shop, it means that it is very much punishable by the law. Okay, and the last part is about the child pornography. Okay, so basically publishing the information which is obscene in electronic form as the most serious legislative measure against the pornography is there. Okay, so we have 5 years imprisonment and 10 lakh rupees fine. And if the person who has made the child pornographies, if found again doing the same thing after completing his previous punishment, then at the subsequent conviction he will be having 7 years imprisonment and fine up to 10 lakh rupees. Okay, so these are the cyber crimes, and the Information Technology Act is there to talk about the cybercrime perspective into it. Okay, now apart from cyber law, as I already told you, that we have an Indian Penal Code. Okay, cyber crimes are also been discussed in an Indian Penal Code. Okay, Indian Penal Code is a general law for all type of the all type of the offenses. Okay, so what is all type of the offenses? Now in the Indian Penal Code, you will find that there are certainly some of the elements. So for example, you will find that offenses against human body, offenses against the property, offenses pertaining to the coins and the currency notes. There are a number of different kind of the offenses which are discussed by the Indian Penal Code. Now, while having such kind of the offenses, if someone sees that such kind of the offenses is having its connection with the cyber world or information technology or technological advancement, you can very much have an application of Indian Penal Code to that set of facts, and accordingly you can have an put the punishment on such kind of things. Okay, the simple thing, like you have in forgery, you have defamation. So defamation is defined by the Indian Penal Code. So whoever by words either spoken or intended to be read, or by signs or by visible representation, makes or publishes any imputation concerning any person intending to harm the reputation of such person is said to be defamed. So basically, if you are writing anything which is disturbing or which is violating the right to a right of status or right to have reputation in the society, then in such kind of the cases, and if it is through the cyber world, if it is through the social media, that is also punishable under Indian Penal Code as well as the Information Technology Act. Okay, then printing the defamatory material is also one of the crime. Then you have an criminal intimidation, where you threat another person with any injury to his person, reputation, or the property, and then accordingly you make illegal acts. So in such kind of cases also we can say there's a criminal intimidation. And then if it is through the telecommunication, through the cyber world, through the information technology, computer system or computer network, you can very much have the application of those laws on such things. Okay, sending defamatory messages. Okay, and sending threatening messages. Okay, so these are nothing but a part of a cyber law or cyber crime. Okay, if someone is threatening you through email, then you can very much go to file a complaint in the police station, saying that this and this person is sending me the threatening email or defamatory messages by email, and so accordingly you can very much go against him, and you can ask the police officers to take the cognizance of the things. Okay. Now, this bogus websites, website cloning is there. Okay, you prima facie can see that this is the same website which you want to see, but basically that is the clone of the website, and that will again harmful when you click on it. Okay, now you must know that when you want to make any bank transactions or the economic transactions, you just have to check that HTTP. So when that HTTP is in green, probably it is a secured one. Okay, but if it is not green, or probably if it is red, then it is not secure to have the payment through that particular mode. Okay, so these are the small things that you also have to remember while having access to the internet through your computer. Then you have the email abuse, online defamation, personifications, or by showing that identical theft. Probably you can do it, and you can doing, if you are doing the chatting with another person, then again it amounts to an offense. Then you have the online sale of the drugs, as I already told you, that if you are doing illegal activities through the website, then it is it is amounting to the cyber crime as well. Okay, now coming down to the last part for the discussion is what you have to do. So far we have talked about the cyber crimes and everything in relation with the security assurance and all. So now what's next? Okay, so basically if you come across with such kind of activities, the first thing that you have to do is like you have in first aid box. Okay, so what is first aid box is that in prima facie what you can do instantly, and then you try to find out the doctor afterwards. In a similar way, when you have such kind of activities, if they are happening with you, so if you are the victim, then probably whatever are the nearer resources, accordingly you can go ahead with. So for example, if you think that there's a fraud is happening with your credit card, you can quickly call the bank person, and I mean the home branch specifically, and you can ask him to stop all the transactions which are happening with the credit card. Okay, so this is the instant things that you have to find it out. Okay, so instead of making the panic, no, you have to take a such kind of a step which will help you further in having or to be stopping you from being a victim of such kind of the frauds. The second thing that you have to find out the doctor. So what and how? So basically you have to go to the cyber police either or any police station to register your complaint, and through police officers you can have an investigation. Secondly, you can always Google it out that this is cyber police officers, and you can very much write your complaint complaint on their portal, and you can always get a copy of it. You can always see the status updates of your basically whatever the complaints which you have registered, and you can see an updates. You can always receive an update through your mobile phones on your SMS that what is an update in the investigation of that particular crime. Okay, and thirdly, lastly, you have to be very careful while sharing your personal data or any kind of the data to any other person. Okay, so do not share your CVV number, which is always been suggested to. Do not share OTP. Do not share PIN number. Okay, you may share probably the card numbers, but you shall not share any information pertaining to that particular financial transaction, personal information. Okay, so be aware about all these things. Okay, cybercrime. So you can be culprit or you can be victim. From both sides, you have to understand the cyber awareness, and accordingly you have to you have to do your things. Okay, accordingly you have to manage your things. Generally do not put same passwords to all the accounts, because if one comes to know that okay, this is the same password is using he or she is using it for 2 accounts, so the rest of the accounts, so whatever may be the accounts, email IDs, profiling, etc., social media, all can you can lose your access to all such kind of the profiles which are available on the internet. Okay, so this is that you have to do. And the last one is that you have to tell all this information to your friends. Okay, you have to make your friend circle aware of all these cyber crimes which are happening. Okay, we want to reduce the cyber crime. We want to increase the cyber assurance or the security assurance. So we have the availability of the laws, officers, police station, police officers, cyber police. So Pune is having the cyber police station. Cyber polices are appointed, and we have very much access to all the police stations. So you have to spread the awareness amongst your friend circle so that no one can be victim, or if someone want to indulge into crime, he or she must know the consequences so that you can stop him by indulging into such kind of the activities. Okay, so this is I think is enough for cyber crimes. So yesterday we have talked about the personal data, the privacy, the data privacy, and what do you mean by data and number of things. Today we have talked about the cyber crime, specifically the crimes which are associated with the Information Technology Act and the Indian Penal Code, and the rest of the things, how we have to find it out what type of the cyber crime is happening. Accordingly, we have to find it out the things, the punishments and number of things, and then accordingly we have to manage ourselves so that you cannot be the victim or you cannot be the culprit of the cybercrime. The last part that is remaining is the intellectual property rights. Okay, so tomorrow you will be having a last session of the cyber security module is about the information intellectual property rights. Okay, so we had in some reference to the copyright or the piracy issues in context within cyber law. Tomorrow we're going to discuss in detail about what do you mean by copyright and the trademark and the industry design, integrated circuits, GIs, number of things where we call it as an intellectual property rights. But in a cyber world, we have to see the context of all that intellectual property in such a way that will help to find out the solutions if such kind of things are happening to you. Okay, so like you download any particular song without the consent of the owner of the song. So if consider tomorrow one of you is a singer, and if you're singing the thing, okay, if you're singing a song and one of your friend without taking the consent of yours, if downloading the song or getting the benefits out of it, then probably it is the violation of your intellectual property right. It is violation of your copyright. So what you not wish to do, you shall not do it other way around as well. Okay, so we call it as an put yourself into that particular person's place, and then accordingly you have to see that what you have to do and what you not have to do. Okay, so here I come to an end with all the aspects of the cybercrime. If you have any doubt, you can unmute yourself and can ask, or you can just put it in the chat window. So I'm opening the chat window, and if you have any doubt, you can just put it in the chat window as well. Okay, so thank you so much for your patient listening. I'll be sharing the notes by today evening. I'll be mailing it to ma'am, so you can just see. Or meanwhile, you can just go through internet and you can just see. You can just type Information Technology Act 2000 PDF. You'll get the PDF copy of the law. You can very much get the Indian Penal Code copy, a PDF copy. You can get it to the internet. So meanwhile, you can start reading out the material which is available in the Information Technology Act 2000. Okay, I'm just sharing the small part. I think it's 8 to 10 pages of your module. Okay, so you can very much go through that module. Whatever you require within that particular modules, you can very much search it on the internet by writing that particular thing, and then you can correlate it at the time of your exams, probably the MCQs. There's no worries about it. Okay, you just have to understand it from different perspective. Okay, it is just not an examination point of view or passing point of view. It is good to read everything about the cybercrime and the information technology from a future perspective as well. Okay, so thank you all. See you soon. Thank you.